Hey everyone, welcome to Hope for Survival. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have survived this snowmageddon that has passed through much of central and eastern and southern United States, and now we're dealing with the frigid cold. But I hope you are warm and well. I've been wanting to get this video out to you for at least a week and a half. Since returning from our trip, and I encountered some software issues. So there's somehow while I was away, the Google platform, which is needed for pulling videos off of my phone, changed while we were away, and now I'm having trouble downloading those particular videos. So I'll work my way through and use photographs taken to kind of work my way through it. But the whole point of why I wanted to do this video was um, we were setting for about 30 plus hours. We were setting 40 to 50 miles off the coast of Venezuela and visiting the ABC Islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And while we were in the area, it was about 1 week after the U.S. military actions in Venezuela. So conditions there in the Caribbean were, to the eye of many, were calm and mainly the same. If you were looking around, you probably observed some things that were a little different or maybe would raise your eyebrow a little bit. But one of the things that interested me from a preparedness perspective was I wanted to check out on the islands um, how things worked from a preparedness perspective. Um, Shipping lanes, gardening, um, their imports, protection, and things of that nature. Because of the size of the islands, I wanted to kind of cross over in a comparison of how I often talk about when the trucks stop rolling here in the U.S. and how it's going to impact your 5 mile radius. 5 mile radius, and that was kind of applicable there. And except there, it wasn't so much when the trucks stopped rolling; it was when the planes stopped flying. So uh, I wanted to cross over from that perspective and see how it impacted the locals and how that related to our preparedness here in America. So here's what I put together. Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, also known as the ABC Islands. It was a 2 day sail out of Miami um, down to the islands off the coast of Venezuela, south of Cuba. Beautiful aqua waters. We had, for the most part, beautiful weather. We had a day or two of rain, but it was a nice trip down. Relatively warm weather, 70s and 80 degrees. But you can see here the beautiful waters, and had some really nice sunsets uh, off the ship's deck. We were able to spend in the neighborhood of 8 to 12, 13 hours on each island. at port. So we took excursions out to see the islands and mix with the locals and see the culture, which was on a personal level very educational and very nice, but also from a preparedness perspective. I found it interesting looking around and wanting to know how things work and how they got supplies in and out and so on and so forth. So it was kind of twofold for me. So to give you a better perspective, um, you can see a little bit above center where it says Bonaire and Curacao and Aruba's in there. That's where we were at. We came directly down around Cuba and down, and you can see just below Bonaire and Curacao here, depicted below the circle. That is Venezuela. We were about 40 to 50 miles, depending on which island we were on, from Venezuela, and you can see Caracas there. So it was interesting considering the military actions that had taken place um, just a week roughly prior to going down into that region. Um, for many, they probably didn't notice anything. Everything was smooth sailing. But if you looked off the sides of the cruise boats, once we were in the Caribbean, in a distance, you could see U.S. and NATO uh, military vessels floating in a distance, keeping the shipping lanes open. Um, I I haven't read it anywhere, but it appeared that all of the oil barges coming out of Venezuela were possibly under some form of military NATO escort, getting the barges out into the Caribbean. But it also appeared, um, I'll show you here. Here's one of the vessels that was often off of, we could see it off the side of our cruise boat that kind of floated along. And then when we went into port, um, here is our cruise boat in port. This was in, I believe, Bonaire. And then about 100 yards from us, this vessel, and I believe it was flagged under the Netherlands, possibly, was at port also. And then later, when we were back out at port at the next island, um, we had this same vessel. Here it is at another position out in the water. There was another Navy vessel that was out. It appeared to be some form of a radar vessel operating a radar for traffic out in that part of the Caribbean. But there were no issues, no problems, minimal to zero air traffic flying in this area. So all in all, um, you felt safe. You didn't really give it a whole lot of thought, other than for anyone paying attention that there had just been military action 40 to 50 miles from us. And one of the things I was briefed on by one of the locals, which kind of piqued my interest. As I said earlier, in the U.S., whether it's a man-made or natural disaster, we operate on a just-in-time supply system of 3 days supply of food, pharmaceuticals, and fuel. And I was curious of how that worked on the islands because of the minimal number of grocery stores on the islands to feed the people. Um, Aruba has a population of 125,000, Bonaire is 26,000, and Curacao is 153,000. And um, they don't grow food there. So all their food is imported, primarily from the Netherlands. They get most of it from the Netherlands. 3 flights a day come in to the islands to stock their food supply. Some from the U.S., and then there's local suppliers for fruit that's coming from Cuba, the Dominican, and Venezuela. So you can see here in the fruit markets the daily uh, stock or daily supply of the fruits. So having 3 airframes a day coming in with just food supplies and other needs, pharmaceuticals and so forth, any interruption of those airflows is going to greatly impact the food supply for the people, especially since they don't grow food and the homes were for the most part relatively small, so there wasn't a lot of room to stock supplies. Affordability was probably an issue as well, and since they don't garden, they're totally dependent upon the stores. Where in America, if we don't have trucks rolling in to stock our grocery stores, we're going to be impacted on our supplies to the grocery store availability for the people. Whereas in America, if they're not resupplied, and it's a disaster or an event that traps people in your area, icy roads or something of that nature, they can't get out of your area, the grocery stores are going to be overtaxed with populace now, depending on the supplies coming in to get food supplies. Where on the islands, you're going to have, they have anywhere from 1 to 8 cruise ships, up to 8 cruise ships a day coming into these islands. So you've got anywhere from 4,500 to 40,000 tourists coming onto your island. And if they are trapped there for an extended period of time, they're going to drain your food supply. Whereas the same in America, if you've got people working from outside the community or tourists off of boats that can't leave, they're going to be taxing that food supply. So what happened was there was no heads up or warning on the date of the military actions in Venezuela, and all air traffic was restricted. So all these flights that were coming in, scheduled to come in with food supplies, family members off the island trying to get to the islands, and so forth, the traffic was all grounded. So no one could get to the islands while military actions took place 40 to 50 miles away in Venezuela. All the lanes were closed. So one of the locals that I talked to told me that um, the the grocery stores, basically, because of the limited number of stores and the limited amount of food, that a 1 day shutdown of airflow bringing food in, it was apparent on the shelves in the stores. So that was kind of an eye opener. In these areas, one of the things that I was looking at also was crime and the ability of the local establishment to protect the people against crime. You've probably heard stories in the past of individuals traveling. There was a gentleman from the U.S. a few years ago in Aruba that accidentally had one bullet in a bag, and he came close to being sentenced to prison for coming on the island with it. It's very, very restricted. So you have these islands sitting out in the middle of the Caribbean, and any other than the ability of the island law enforcement, if you had any type of escalated event, they would be over. It would be overmatched, and they would be overrun. So, if you had a without rule of law type situation, um, it's going to be a while before help could get to you because all defense of these islands is provided by NATO. Um, and it's particularly the Dutch Netherlands um, responsibility. Granted, any NATO vessel that's out in the region would come to their aid most likely. So, um, but it's going to be a while. Just like in your community, you call 911 and you get a recording because no one went to work that day because they all stayed home because of increased violence, increased threat, and they're going to protect their families. So there's no one coming to your aid. So how you maintain your safety and defense of your community is going to be up to what effort you've put into it prior to any type of event. Same with your food supplies and so forth. If you there they don't grow food, so they're totally dependent upon imports. It would be the same for a home that doesn't pre-plan and have extra food. If they're dependent upon the grocery stores and the corner market and there's no availability, then what? So um, those were some of the interesting features, and also the community networking and bonding throughout the communities. Many of the home, even though crime was low, many of the homes, it was very noticeable that they had kind of like in Mexico, they had walls built around their homes and and their properties. So it wasn't like walking off the street up the sidewalk and ringing the doorbell. That wasn't possible because um, the gates, which was like a sliding gate wall, they were locked. So I found it very comparable. Um, I found it very interesting as well, and like so many communities across America, where 90% of our populace, 85% of the populace is dependent upon immediate availability to resources and needs, whether it's home repairs, auto repairs, food, medical, and so forth. Um, when an event occurs that uh, curtails that or prevents it, people are people in America are going to be up the creek just like here on these islands, and there's minimal to zero immediate response available. Uh, Traffic was because there were very narrow two-lane roads on the areas that we went to. Um, Maximum speed was probably 25 miles an hour, maybe 30 miles an hour. It's going to take a while for medical or law enforcement types to get to where you are. So, any kind of event that's going to occur, much like in America, it'll happen and the damage will be done before a response can get to you. So, you have to ask the question again. Um, if you are not prepared, whether it's during rule of law or without rule of law, where does that leave you? So as you can see, there are some comparisons, and again, it all comes down to on any given situation based on circumstances. It could be a natural or man-made type event. It is what you have prepared, your ability to use those resources for the duration of the event, and your community that will potentially make or break your ability to comfortably survive or survive at all. And these are things that we should always have in the back of our mind when we are preparing, whether it's Snowmageddon or um, if the trucks or planes stop flying, to get the resources into your area. If it doesn't happen, how are you going to survive? How is your community going to survive from day to day? How are you going to protect your resources? If there's no protection available when you call for help, it's kind of whether it's a natural disaster type event that's preventing responders to get to you and you're reliant upon your community, or if you're in a WROL or without rule of law type scenario to where there's no one to respond medically or from a law enforcement perspective to help protect you. How are you going to do it? And those are things you should be working towards to rectify in the event. And this means investing time and effort into your own preparedness plans, and also investing into your community and the people around you, the skills they have, what they can offer you, how you're going to come together. And this is time committed to bonding and working projects together and learning skills of who can do what to help you get through to the next day. So hope you got something out of this video. If you like the information, hit like. If you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And stay safe out there. It is cold. There's more cold being forecast coming through in a week. So make sure you're prepped and ready for it. But always give thanks, and remember, we are blessed people. Take care. Bravo Echo out.